I'm going to begin. This is October 8th, 2015. It's a time of presidential elections, and I have found it um, disconcerting the idea that there aren't really um, any candidates that fit what I think should be happening with America. And I believe that democracy, or our democracy, is in peril for so many reasons. We could spend the whole time talking about that. I've done a lot of critiques about it. Um, and I do believe if you're going to critique something, that you should have something to replace some new ideas that would be helpful rather than constantly criticizing. So I've been doing that all along, and it's been quite a creative process. And I did say once before that I've been doing research on what an American democracy would look like, and I have this idea that there should be a fourth branch of government for the arts and sciences, but that's way ahead. And all changes have to come through gradation and evolution, so it's not like this overwhelming, chaotic thing. But I believe that because a presidential election is coming, that this is the time that we should um, create a revolution that we can actually do, something that's doable, and that would be helpful to a country that is going through a lot of peril, um, going through school shootings. The problems are, uh, they seem insurmountable in a lot of ways. And we always paint ourselves into this corner. And I think that the structures uh, between the old and the new are crumbling. And um, you have to take the old with you, but only in a way that is helpful to the present and the future. So, I believe that we need to learn how to articulate what the problems are. We're trying to have a multiracial society, and that's always been, uh, since our very beginnings, it's always been a challenge. Um, for so much of our history, we've been in denial, and we finally have faced some of those problems and talked about it and had conversation. So I could say that this presidency had a lot of discussions going on about race and police and citizenry, and that should go on. And I think the critique should get deeper, it should get wider, and it should get creative. And we have such a creative culture and so many creative people that, and this would include the elders and the youngers, that everybody would be teaching each other things to create what I have thought about as a Green Party, or a redefinition of the Green Party, sort of a more refined Green Party, one that has learned a lot of things. Oh, you're, well, that's his hearing aid going on. Anyway, it's very informal. Uh, where was I? Well, I believe that the presidency should take on a new dimension or contours where a Green Party actually becomes an educational presidency that contains academics. When have we ever had a lot of academics and scholarly people in office? And I'm a scholarly person. I've spent my life being an artist and a scholar and a nurse and so many other things. And that's why in every echelon that I've lived, in every strata that I have lived, I have done critiques, and I sort of have an American vision that I would like to put forth and share with other people. Um, my first vision came about 30 years ago, and I actually saw um, a city that controlled the temperature of the Arctic poles. And since I'm from Chicago, it wasn't too unusual to see sort of a lakeshore drive where you have freezers with the idea of if you can melt it, you can freeze it. Uh, but I think that this generation's going to the moon, you know, the miracle of going to the moon, how we set a goal, and that was when I was very young. I think that same idea of establishing a goal would be to control the temperature uh, if we want to survive. And we have the tools to do that, and we have the know-how. We just need uh, the moxie, the push, and the okay to attempt such a thing. Uh, Not the okay, but a consensus that we need to save our planet. And um, I was inspired when Shell stopped the drilling in the Arctic and they came to their senses. And it only came to their senses through uh, all the people who, uh, in all their different manners and ways, and hanging from bridges and protesting, and all summer long, this past summer, there were protests constantly going on about drilling in the Arctic. And it was a great victory. And it made me hopeful for the first time that we might actually bring enough attention to this, and people who are interested, and young and old, in a project to save the earth. And if we revolved our economy around that and around learning new ways, it could include a lot, but an educational presidency would build a great foundation to a real democracy, which a lot of people know that we don't have. And there's a lot of reasons for that. But I believe that establishing a more refined Green Party, and I've named it Chartreuse, it's a higher octave green, and it brings forth an idea that we could center an entire economy around those things, about what is needed. For example, right now we're having floods and weather disasters. Those things should be self-conscious industries. And I'm sure they are in some ways, but if we had an effort where we used armies of people going to the Arctic, cleaning up the oceans, building habitats, creating a new infrastructure in America, that we would be reborn in that process, and we would be educated if we could do a critique of the past and sort of a letting go, not a letting go, but of coming to terms with it. That we are, otherwise, we're going to just be victims of our histories, and it's become so detailed that I can't understand it. And the whole idea of the Middle East and what's going on there, and how it's really ruining the world that we live in, and that everybody's focused and putting their energy on this, and it's a whole death force, and that young people are killing each other. with the ammunitions that we have given them since they were born. We haven't, we've given them a lot of tools, but we haven't developed a culture that respects them and shows them how to use it, or to be in a society where you're aspiring to a higher level and kindling a need, a wanting to learn. Um, People who take up things and want to learn things creates passions and creates um, different forms of culture. Right now, the form of culture that we have is cannibalistic, and um, that's just an aspect of it that won't work. It's so complex. The plane is making noise, so I'm sort of being quiet until then. But anyway, I've created reams and reams of ideas with care, and I'd like to share them with the rest of, with other interested parties who could maybe make this happen. And I would like to be a part of that effort and energy. So, I don't think this will work.